don't need that.
We don't need it.
I mean, we don't need it. We can move.
Yeah, it's a vote.
Okay, we're on red dots.
Okay, we're up.
Need a motion to extend the meeting. Second. That's. Thanks.
Can you do that motion? I'm sorry.
Barry was the motion, made the motion. And second. Thank you, Ryan.
We need to, we want to put it in. So. Okay, so 10:30 we revisit. Closed session, return to open session, announcement of action taken in closed session.
Okay, for closed session, item A, we have varsity softball coach stipend for the 22-23 school year. Hoopa High, new hire to elected Brian's here, I'm sorry. Colgrove, track coach stipend, the 22-23 school year. Orleans, new hire Karen Cole. Baxville, food specialist third, classified 8 hours per day, 196 days. Super high transfer, Patricia Scott. Computer and communications technician, classified 8 hours per day, 260 days. District-wide transfer, William Sims. Fourth grade teacher, certificated, 6 hours. Hoopa Elementary, resignation. That was item A. Item B. Public. Okay, public employee, okay. On item B, we had motion to approve resolution 2346 with unanimous with 7, all unanimous. Motion to approve resolution 2347 with 6 yes and 1 abstain. Motion to approve resolution 2348 with 6 yes, 1 abstain. Motion to approve resolution 2349 with 7 was unanimous. And number C, item C, nothing to report out, and item B, nothing to report out.
Public comment on agenda items. Can I have public comment on agenda items? Consent agenda, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, consent agenda passes. Action items, 11A. Didn't we just do them?
Yeah, but we have to.
Oh, okay.
Vote now.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept action item A, resolution 23-50, non-election of probationary superintendent staff? Motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
And I
Resolution,
will be meeting with every single person tomorrow morning.
resolution 23-51, elimination of certain positions in permanent classified service. Do I have a motion? Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passed. Approval of JP 13 for 2/14/23 school closure. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of JP 13 for 2/22/23 through 3/8/23 school closures. Do I have
Motion.
second? Second. All in favor? The opposed? Motion passes. I ran out of agenda. Approval of Hooper Valley Elementary School plan for student achievement. Do you want to have any motion?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Elementary school plan.
I'll second. Do we have any discussion?
Did you want to discuss, Dr. Kimball, since you're here? Your site plan?
I don't have anything to say other than what's in there because the plan was written last year by a different administrator, was proposing it for approval. Presenting this tonight.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? None?
We have discussion. Sorry. I just wanted to highlight and for site plans going forward, we were not, and it sounds like there was a lot of complications with this particular plan. But IPP did not get an opportunity to review this plan. We were given a copy of it on Thursday of last week, and then we also had connectivity issues. So I was able to email it out to our task force list and received pretty little feedback so far. But going forward, I'm hoping that all of our administrators, and I will remind all of our administrators that if we can receive plans ahead of time to be scheduled on regular IPP meetings so that we can review, ideally ask questions and engage with the document there, that would be best case scenario for approving plans.
And Jennifer, I'm sure you'll mention it, you know.
Yes. Wrote it down.
Okay. I still can't find the rest of the agenda.
Thank you, Erica.
I did that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Captain John continuation high school.
We didn't vote.
Huh? Oh, we did? Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
I interrupted discussion.
Oh, okay. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion passed. Captain John continuation high school plan for student achievement. Oh, so we passed. Do I have a motion?
Motion. That's the Captain John Community High School.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
Same scenario for this one.
Would you like to add?
I left on.
Back to you.
And I just wanted to apologize to Erica and to and also the tribal education leaders because I rushed to turn in the plan and I didn't. It's turning into them at the same time, and then we didn't have internet, so I turned it. They literally brought it on Saturday as well as you missing. I apologize to everyone for the miscommunication, and we would be happy with any things or suggestions that you have. We'd be happy to have a meeting and make those adjustments if needed. And it was my bad on that.
Is that part of the timeline when you're doing your plans, Erica? Do you know, is that something that like, you know, when they say, okay, we need to have this meeting, is that part of the timeline?
It's not in the policy, but it's still in the IPP board policy. It still say that all district plans and programs will receive IPP approval. So again, it's kind of been from administrator to administrator, and so like superintendent kind of preference too. So I think now we're just kind of all getting back on track because as a former chair of IPP, it was like sometimes we would receive the plans and sometimes we wouldn't. So I'm hoping now going forward we'll be consistent. We all kind of know the expectation and we really get to see the document before it comes here and can say, yes, stamp of approval, IPP looked at this, it looks great. So I think we're all working towards that. And definitely appreciate the opportunity to still provide feedback as we can, even though I know we need to get them approved. And everybody understands that. So we're good for now, but hopefully in the future. Better.
I have a question. So are we approving plans that were written last year?
The plan is for this year, so they write them last year for this year. We're kind of late.
This particular plan is late.
For this particular plan,
Yes,
for
it
the
is.
year that we're in, we're approving it and in March for the school year.
Correct. So there's a question, a comment.
I don't know, I have to say that I'm very disappointed in not recognizing the Indian Policy Procedure Committee. And we've heard excuse after excuse over the years, and it's still happening, and I don't see where it is getting any better. It's not happening, so you can't call it better. And I think you're out of compliance with Indian Policy Procedure by passing this. Because it didn't come to our committee.
We didn't get emails.
We didn't, no, I didn't get anything. And I feel like as a committee person that, no, things are not getting better. We're not, it's not like we're catching the last vote out or something. If we do it or we don't do it, and we're not doing it right. And I would expect from the board to say, well, what are we gonna do about this?
And if
Our-
it's
our
not in
employees screwed
compliance, I
up.
withdraw my motion. If that's, if it's not gonna put us in compliance with what we need to be, I withdraw that motion.
Because that's making us as committee members liars. That we, oh yeah, it's all right.
But that would be the same for, because it's not just, it's just not,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
just a target for
No.
one, but
Oh,
I think last year at this time, we really jumped all over Scotty for not having her stuff taken care of before, so it is a habitual problem.
It is.
Madam President, is, when are these due to the county? That's why we. So what are these, so where are these, going after we approve them? Is there a deadline that they have to be submitted somewhere to the state?
No, their spending plan for this year,
So they can't spend any money until it's. approved.
or
So
they fall back to the previous year's plans for their spending for this year in the event that there's no approved plan.
so they should have been approved before school started, or when school started then, right? Right after it started in September.
There's no sense in withdrawing our motion since last year's plans weren't approved by IPP either. So we would revert back to another plan that wasn't approved.
It's never gonna change.
I do have to say, I guess, in defense of Hoop Elementary, I believe you heard me say earlier, previous meetings, that we were having and are still having problems getting our site council fully have a full board and have full participation. When Ms. West mentioned tonight that she was elected for 2 years, when we had our first meeting, and yes, we had our first meeting late in November, she didn't know who was on the site council, is what she stated to us. She didn't know who, she didn't know if she was still on. She didn't know nobody was willing to give any information. The previous administrator would not forward us any information, or did he leave anything really? I had asked Dana if site council minutes were still being submitted to the district office as they were when my children were in school and I was on site council. And I have never received anything or reply or any minutes. So yes, we are late in submitting it. Yes, due to the lack of meetings by IPP, because of the weather. We did not get our plan in front of IPP, but we still would like to have our plan approved.
You'd like to see them.
And I, as a member of IPP, I didn't respond to Erica's email. I guess I should have and let her know that this is where we're at and this is why we are where we're at. I was also going to ask the board for an extension on our ability to spend those funds beyond March 30th or 31st, because we have not been able to have a full committee. We have not been able to formulate anything really beyond what was written last year, and we need to go forward and do.
So do you withdraw your motion?
No, I wanted to stand now regarding what she said. I'd like to put that motion. Sorry.
Like, and I think that is a typical roadblock for plans is so many things have to happen before.
I understand
Yeah.
that, and this is not going to be something that will happen over and over again. We're asking for, I'm asking for, I guess, and I'm speaking for myself, my sister, who has been the only other participant in our committee meetings besides the administration. I'm asking for some lenience in that we are able to spend our funds.
I know the letters went out and people nominated people and that type of thing, or that didn't
I
happen.
have been on Facebook. I have stood out in front of the grocery store.
Oh,
I've stood out in front of the post office.
oh.
Haven't been able to make myself go to a church at the churches, but it's getting pretty darn close.
I've been on site council, I feel it, I do. I know it's hard to get those done in a timely manner, in the best year, it's hard, so.
So shoot in November.
I'm just curious, is there like a protocol that is supposed to be adhered to as far as site council goes? Because I'm just hearing you speak like as a community member on the site council. So I'm the president of the Orleans School Site Council, and I participate and I go to the meetings, but our administrator drives the school site council. Like she's the one that does the bulk of the work. So I'm just listening to Tina here, trying to like make this happen. And I'm just curious, is it typically that is the job of the administrators to, because I just know that's how it works in Orleans. So I'm just wondering.
I've only done it in Orleans, so that's how it worked in Orleans. I don't know. I thought that's how it worked everywhere.
But that was part of the problem. If we didn't have the history from last year or previous years, we didn't know where we were picking up from. We didn't know what. We didn't know anything. And I believe that previous administrator asked me at the last board meeting if I had received anything. He took my email address. He sent me files that I can't access because I'm not a KT group member. So it was great that he sent me something finally, because I've only been asking since November, but I can't open them because I'm not a member of the KT group.
I'm pretty sure that the county has a book, it's like a policy book on site councils and.
Oh, I'm aware of that.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Clark was great.
But yeah, I think, yeah.
These are just one, so just keep them.
I thought maybe. Okay, so, yeah, I think that you should maybe work with your administrator to narrow out some of these.
There's 3 of them. So, and even with that, with illnesses, with whatever, we haven't been able to get all of the administrators there at the same time, nor more than For the last two meetings, myself and my sister.
Yeah. So working on participation.
What we're saying is impact aid doesn't really matter. If we okay it and it's not supposed to be. So it's just good to know as an impact aid member that like, we can skip it.
So
That is what the board is saying. Yes.
no, we have a
I
motion on
don't
the
know
floor.
that. Say that. That's important to me. We see it and approve it.
But when to do it.
No, they're telling me I can't add it in the 30. I want to.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
We already have a motion.
Could you
It was
Did you vote?
Oh,
Myers and Gray.
Oh, okay.
Seconded.
so all in favor of approval of Captain John continuation high school site plan? Oh, wait a minute. We're still on Cooper Valley High School.
Yes, we
No, we're on.
No, we're on Captain John. Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
I have to oppose it based on this conversation.
G, approval of Cooper Valley High School school plan for student achievement. And we have a motion to accept theirs.
Before there's a motion, can I have a little discussion?
Yes, you can.
I want to recognize Ms. Tracy's comments, and Ms. Tracy, do you feel that it would be in our best interest to wait on movement on this particular item until you are able to view this student achievement report?
Yes, Lad, I have some great news for you. Out of all of our district administrators, before the high school principal went on leave, she did provide IPP with the site plan, and we had a discussion about it. And a recommendation did come out of that, so I'll highlight that for you. One thing in that site plan was the listing of some of the key staff, and them coming out of Title I funds. And it created a discussion in the site council meeting about, one of the positions was like the life skills coordinator position that comes out of Title I funds. And it turned into a discussion about how we change from being something that comes out of a site plan title fund pot of money, and how it turns into the other category, which is like school operations. Does that sound familiar or correct? Of how do you switch from being to have a position that comes out of Title I funds, which obviously puts a very big impact on a site plan and a site budget, and how does it transition to go from a Title I funded position to a school operations generally funded instead of out of the site plan? And I'm messing up what that's called. Do you remember part of that discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Erica, because I was trying to remember that too, and I believe it was about paid positions at the high school level out of the Title I funds rather than like the school operations fund or our line item.
The general fund.
The general fund, where it could be paid out of there and leave the Title I funds for more services for the students. And that was, I believe that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And something, it was and Carmen, you probably know. Because apparently we can use those Title I funds for more services if we can get those positions paid out of the general fund rather than from Title I.
My suggestion would be that we communicate during the LCAP process.
Okay. I thought that's what we were doing right now.
So Title I right now, that was written into the plan because there was a need for that position. And
It's been going on, I think, for a few years now like that, so.
it just changed. There was another position being paid out of Title I. And it was a counseling assistant being paid out of Title I. We had a federal audit and that position it didn't qualify under Title I guidelines. However, the position you're talking about qualified under the guidelines, and therefore they were switched. That was an audit finding, and that's why that position was put into the plan and we paid. They were able to.
What was the counseling?
So we'll be able to reverse, bring it back out and we'll begin like skills. Yeah, you guys are in the future, you have those discussions. Okay, because I think we did make that recommendation, but I don't know if it's actually where it goes next.
Hey, Carmen, what was the counseling assistant position?
What was it?
What, or is it? What is it? The counseling assistant position?
I had to take a.
Riles' position.
We have over 200.
He's
I
the.
can't remember.
He is the counseling assistant.
Oh, concentration. It's skills. We talked about the life skills. Let's go one. Yeah,
Yeah, but they're saying they want out
We
of
want it
Title
out.
I into the general fund.
right.
So for- for-
It'd have to be, you guys have to have those discussions when you're. When you revise the LCAP. Okay. In its third year, what year are we in? With the LCAP? At any rate, that's where that was. Okay, yeah, that's the recommendation we wanted to make.
Okay. I guess my question is, I don't understand all this jabber here, but my question is about our students. How is this reaching our students in what you guys are talking about? How is it helping our students to catch up? Because there's most of our students, as you've seen in the impact aid report, are behind. How are these dollars spent to help our students? I'm not talking about employees. I'm saying, how is it helping our students now? Can anyone answer that question?
Based on the way it's written, it's goal driven. So the intent is your money is that you speak of is attacking the goals to make these sites to achieve better service to these children.
So when this is supposed to happen?
If I may, Kate.
Because I had a meeting with elementary teachers and I asked them if they've got any extra help since COVID. They said no. They just picked up and carried on and there is no extra help. So when we talk about all this monies and things that are supposed to help our kids get caught up, it's not reaching our kids. Somebody up here must know it's not reaching our kids.
So in regards to the site plan, the Title I, there's a process that is in place. They do get training from the county. They come out, they assist the administrators in regards to the training that needs to happen, the timelines. These timelines are already in place. When the plan is written, it's based on the needs of the school site. Because it's federal money, it's pretty restricted. However, they're looking at evidence-based strategies. They're looking at there's some. I'm not a teacher, and it's coming. That's why you have so many variables. You have community member, you have teacher, everyone explaining what their need is in regards to those federal monies. With that being said, along the timelines, they are supposed to bring back their site plan back to the board at the end of the year with an evaluation. There's an evaluation that needs to be done. How did we fare in all of our goals and objectives? Did we meet these goals and objectives? That is on the timeline for this particular plan. It's getting that process, I guess. I don't know how.
Okay, then
That's when you would
When
know
do-
if it's
when do-
reaching those
when do
students.
we as parents and when do we look at the goals that you've set? And when do we see how we reach those goals? If we're above the goals or if we're beneath the goals, if we're under the goal, and if it's not working because it sounds like our kids are not catching up, then we modify that goal and make it simpler for them to catch up Or do we just have the site plan and the hell with the kids? And okay, we did our work.
Your goals are based on, from my understanding, the goals are based on the LCAP goal. It's in alignment with that.
Based on the dashboard.
It's on the dashboard score. So there you have your LCAP goals. Everything is aligned within that LCAP. It's also part of Title I. So that's gonna help with creating those strategies in addition to what the LCAP has identified. This is in addition to that you'll see in some of these plans, they have the dashboard. They'll have the data at where the children are at. Again, we get reports on the data. How are they doing? It's implementing those strategies that's been identified. We're going to have 500 materials and supplies. And that's all it could say. Who identifies what materials and supplies? It would be the teaching staff and the administrator. They would implement what supplies is needed. It could be classroom posters hanging up. It's identified just as materials and supplies. How would you analyze that and how is it helping bring those scores up? I honestly wouldn't be able to. But go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, thank you. No, I just wanted to make sure I was in line. I think what Dawn is talking about is, I do recall, because there's the goal on the LCAP. And I believe there is supposed to be, isn't there like a reporting period where is sent out to the IPP task force and to parent committees on whether or not that site met those goals. And if not, what they plan to do to meet those goals. And I think that's what Donna's talking about, because obviously our students are not proficient. And so we want to know and be able to report out what goals we did meet, because we didn't meet those goals, and what we are going to do at that site to do better.
So that would be, so there's two different plans you've got going. How you
Okay.
One is with different variables they have in their plan. They would need to identify at that school site how it met that goal or how it did not. The other is the LCAP. We have a process here where we bring it back to the board because we have to say how much money did we spend to reach that goal. What happened within that goal? That is where all of the numbers, the data comes out that we 40%. Well, we spent X amount just to make it to 40% when our goal was 70. Okay. Do we give it another year's chance? Because a lot of times it might take a year or two to start seeing some results. But again, it's the community that looks at those programs that may be in place. You're going to see in LCAP, you'll see the different instructional materials that's being purchased. That's within it. You'll see separate supplemental programs maybe helping. And that's where your LCAP will have those dollar amounts in it. Is it helping? Are they seeing it? Again, it's all driven,
right?
Dashboard driven.
Does that come out at the end of the year or the
Yes.
beginning of? So at the end of this year, we should be able to have a little more information. And
Okay, what I'm asking this is because you talk about your dashboard, but your impact aid crunches that dashboard. The impact aid is the truth of where we're at. And I'm saying we need to look at our impact aid report, and the dashboard is just something that looks good on paper, but it's not helping our kids.
Actually,
But it don't, we don't, it does.
real bad.
I need to, goes hand in hand.
But we've got to do something. I'm saying is that, you people on the board has got to be accountable to your employees that our kids get the right kind of materials and the right kind of instruction to bring their grades up. Because it's not happening right now, and we all know that.
I move that this meeting be advanced until 10:45. Do I have a second?
All in favor?
who seconded?
Okay.
I need to, okay. Any more discussion on this?
Lynn just reminded me that it made it to our table and we discussed it, but we did not take a formal vote. No. So just wanted to clarify that.
Can I
So is
get your,
there-
can I get your professional opinion on, do you feel comfortable with that?
I felt comfortable with it.
Thank you.
I would also say if there's any administrators here still, is that the high school has been excellent about communication about site council, about their meetings, about all of those things. I'm also a parent at Hoopa L, and I don't know when the site council meetings are. So it's not even your responsibility.
I know it
It's
isn't.
Tina, so.
But I've been that parent.
Yes, so, but I'm just hoping that I would like to help in spreading the word for any of our sites, that if we need to publicize site council and help with participation and boosting all of those things. So as a parent, I'm a little out of the loop. And then also as an administrator, I see it done well sometimes, but if we can be consistent about notification, I can help spread the word too. And we can get IPP members to those meetings in between our meetings. So just want to share that as well. I'll write it down.
I believe that, March 21st at 4:30, I posted it on Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook. I make the motion to approve.
Second,
Valley High Schools.
All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion approved. And we are second interim report. Approve the second interim as published. Is there any discussion? We have a motion to accept the second interim.
I move to approve the second interim as positive. Anybody second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? You want the motion back? So we have a motion? No.
What was not clear on what that last item was.
She showed me.
Yeah. We have a motion.
Make the motion to adjourn at 10:34.
I second.
All in favor? Opposed? I'm only waiting for somebody to oppose that.